Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Pretty good, huh, Grandpa?
Yeah, but when I was your age, I could do that with both eyes shut and a riding lickety-split.
Guess there weren't many outlaws like you in these parts, huh, Grandpa?
No, I guess not. They just wasn't put together like I was. 1 part corn liquor and 3 parts dynamite. And if I hadn't got shut up in Brewster City, I'd still be on the top of the heap, maybe in California by now.
I asked you to milk the cow an hour ago.
Sorry, Mom.
I don't like to nag, son, but I can't do everything myself.
All right, all right.
Before you go, let me have that gun.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I better take that. It's empty now, but you being a woman, you're still liable to hurt yourself.
Dad, we've been living here with you on the farm now for 6 months, and we're grateful to you for helping us out. But why can't you leave the boy alone? Stop putting a gun in his hand.
What's wrong with teaching a young one to shoot straight?
You're not just teaching him to shoot straight. You're filling him full of wild tales, egging him on to a life of crime.
Adventure.
I don't care what you call it. It's still crime. Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. That's all I hear from morning till night. Haven't you got any other topic of conversation?
Shelby's all I think about. All I worry about. I don't want him to be like you, loping all the time, getting a lot of crazy ideas. Why don't you help him develop a sense of responsibility?
Who to? A bunch of pigs and chickens? Trouble with you, Elizabeth, is you haven't got any imagination. You're just like that woman I married. That's why my son turned out to be a jellyfish. Well, it's going to be different with him.
What's wrong, Dan? Why were you riding so fast?
There's been some trouble in Brazos.
What kind of trouble?
Well, I stopped by the post office to see if there was any mail from Tonto. And when I came out, I found out that 2 bandits had robbed a bank, murdered a guard.
Did anyone recognize the killers?
Yes, sir. They were Moose Miller and Pecos Smith.
Miller and Smith.
I remember Tonto telling me about him before he left for his tribe's council meeting.
Dan Miller and Smith are wanted by half the sheriffs in this area. Do you know which direction they took?
They rode west.
You come back with mighty important information.
When you have the Lone Ranger for an uncle, sir, you learn to do that.
While Tonto's away visiting his Indian friends, you may learn a lot more. Let's see if we can pick up the killer's trail. Come on.
What are we stopping for? Don't tell me the great Moose Miller's lost.
The Haskell farm must be around here someplace.
Suppose this Haskell character won't hide us out.
He will. I think it's down this way. Come on.
Here are some hot biscuits, son.
Thanks, Mom. Grandpa, you never did tell me what happened in Brewster City.
Well, your mom don't like for me to talk about it.
Brewster City was his Waterloo.
If that means you gopher I was working with have been smart, we'd have got away without a scratch.
If the law hadn't caught you in Brewster City, you'd have been caught somewhere else.
You're wrong, woman. By now, I'd be in California, living off the fat of the golden land.
What were you after in Brewster City?
Oh, about 5,000 in gold.
Gosh.
Oh, it wasn't just the money I was after, boy. It was excitement.
Yeah, I know.
Never had any excitement. Grew up in this self-same farm just like you, milking the cows, feeding the pigs. But always looking off to the hills. And never seeing what was on the t'other side just plumb tied me up in knots. But one day I joined up with a bunch of hustlers, ornery pack that ever rode out of Texas. And from that day, boy, the world was my oyster until...
I bet.
Shelby, you haven't finished your supper.
Can't, Mom. I'm in a hurry.
I thought you were going to do your schoolwork tonight.
Not tonight, Mom.
Shelby, I hope you're not going into town to meet those Ashley boys.
Please, Mom, don't start that again.
I've told you how I feel about Tom Ashley. You know the kind of reputation he has.
Excuse me, Mom. I'm in a hurry.
Shelby!
Oh, lay off the kid.
You don't care what happens to him, do you? He can run around with the Ashley boys, get into all kinds of trouble, fail in his schoolwork. It just doesn't matter to you.
Oh, shucks. Shelby's old enough to look out for himself.
I want to read you something.
Huh? What is it?
A theme Shelby wrote when he was in the 5th grade. It's called The Most Important Man in the Whole World. Listen. My grandpa is the most important man in the whole world. He's not afraid of anybody. He is big and strong and honest, like George Washington, who was our first president. When I grow up, I want to be like him, so he will be proud of me. Shelby's always wanted you to be proud of him, ever since he was a little boy. I thought his devotion to you would do something to you inside, would turn you into something he could look up to and admire. But I was wrong. Gosh!
Don't worry, kid. I won't hurt you. Know anybody in these parts by the name of Haskell?
Sure, that's my name. I'll bet you're looking for my grandpa, Jim Haskell.
Haskell's your grandpa? How about that, Pecos? Haskell's the kid's grandpa.
Time we had some luck.
Will you take us to the old man?
Sure, I'd be glad to. You two fellas in some kind of trouble?
Don't ask questions, kid. Just do what I say.
All right, but you needn't get sore. If you're in trouble, you can count on Grandpa. Me too.
Hey, you're all right. Show us the way.
Well, the ground is getting mighty hard underfoot, sir.
Yes, Dan. Looks like we'll lose the trail soon. Seems to go south from here. Did you ever hear of Jim Haskell?
Haskell? Yes, I think so. I seem to remember you telling Tonto he was a gun runner, an outlaw, about 15 years ago.
That's right, Dan. He was wounded in the holdup, spent some time in prison, then retired on a farm not far from here. I knew his son. He was a fine man.
Do you think the killers went to Haskell for help?
And it's possible. We better check that first before we do anything else. I understand Haskell turned over a new leaf, but I may be wrong. Let's go.
I'm hungry enough to eat hay. What's taking the old guy so long? Something tells me we shouldn't have come here.
Pipe down. Here he comes now.
Turn that light down. My daughter-in-law ever finds out you're here, she'll raise the roof. Bring you some grub.
Thanks.
I told you could count on Grandpa. Me too.
Ham and apple cider.
Here, Pecos, I'll pour it for you. There's plenty more in the house.
Hey, Moose. The kid's all right. Grub sure is good.
Yeah, my mom's a swell cook.
But you don't like strangers, is that it, kid?
No woman likes stranger folk hanging around. That all you want? Just the grub?
We was figuring on sticking around for a day or two.
Sure, that's all right, isn't it, Grandpa?
I don't know.
Don't have to worry. There's a loft. We'll keep out of sight.
What about them horses?
I'll take him around back of the barn. Mom will never see him.
I don't know. I want to have a talk with these fellas, Shelby. You get on the outside.
What do you want to get rid of me for?
I'll let kid stay.
Do as I say, son. Take care of the horses.
Oh, all right.
Now, just what kind of trouble are you fellas in?
What's the matter, Haskell? You got nervous in your old age?
No, but when I give bed and board to a couple of flea-bitten range pokes, I like to know what I'm letting myself in for.
How about letting yourself in for some of this?
Gee whitters. You must have stuck up a bank.
He may be old and nervous, but he isn't stupid.
Let us stay here for a day or two, and I'll double this when we leave.
Then it was a bank, huh?
Over to Brazos. We plugged a guard.
Keep your mouth shut, Pecos. Oh, what do you say, Haskell?
Yeah, take back your money.
What's the matter? Don't you like the smell of this stuff anymore?
Oh, sure. But I don't want to be paid for doing a favor for a couple of fellas. Just make yourselves to hum.
The horses are hidden.
Good. Wait a minute. You hear that? Somebody's coming. mister. And you too.
I'd advise you to put that gun away.
And I'd advise you to do as I say.
All right, if you insist. You're Tom Haskell's son, aren't you?
That's right, I am.
You're Jim Haskell, Tom's father.
Suppose you let us ask the questions, mister. Now, who are you?
And how come you're wearing a mask?
It's a long story, son. But I can assure you I'm on the side of the law.
Yeah? Well, what's your business?
If you put that gun away, I'll tell you why my friend and I have come here.
I think you'd better tell us first.
All right, Mrs. Haskell. My friend and I are on the trail of two killers, Moose Miller and Pecos Smith. They robbed the bank in Brazos this morning and shot the teller in cold blood.
We followed their trail as far as Granite Peak, and then we rode here to find out if you'd seen them.
What makes you think they'd head for this place?
You know the answer to that question as well as I do, Haskell.
Put that gun down, Dad.
What's wrong with you, Elizabeth?
Mom, he's lying. These men are dangerous.
Somehow I don't quite believe that. Put the gun down.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dad, those men haven't been here, have they?
I haven't seen anybody.
Shelby?
Gosh, Mom, you don't think Grandpa and I would help out a couple of killers, do you?
No, son. No, of course not.
Did you notice any strangers in town?
I haven't been to town.
Nobody's been anywhere, mister. Not for a couple of days. So why don't you stop asking questions? We don't know anything about those men you're after.
You heard what my son said?
Yes, ma'am.
Then perhaps you'll go now. You've no business here. Really no business at all.
Sorry, Mrs. Haskell. Bye.
Dad, Shelby, tell me the truth. Those men haven't been here, have they?
Gosh, Mom, how many times do we have to tell you?
Well, that's that.
It's not safe to hide the money here any longer. We've had trouble with that masked man before. I don't like this.
What are you worrying about? They're both gone. Or maybe you think they're coming back.
Either that, or if they spread the word they trail us to Granite Peak, we'll have a dozen posses on our backs. Go after them, Pecos.
Me? Go after them alone?
You heard me.
Why don't we both go?
Because I don't trust the old man any longer. Not after the way he refused our money.
You figure he's thinking about turning us over to the law?
I don't know. But as long as we're holed up here, I want to keep an eye on him. Now get going.
Spend the night here, Dan.
You know, sir, the boy said nobody'd come or gone for 2 days, but he seemed mighty nervous while we were talking to him. It was almost as though he were trying to get us away from the barn.
Yes, I noticed that, too.
Maybe the killers were hiding there.
I don't know. Mrs. Haskell believed her son was telling the truth. She's a fine woman, Dan. I only hope we can catch the crooks without involving the boy.
Well, I hope so, too, sir. But what if the boy is like his grandfather? And what if he lied?
The crooks can't slip through our fingers. I know this territory. This trail is their only avenue of escape. We'll take turns standing guard just in case they leave the farm.
You nearly took my hand off.
Consider yourself lucky that I didn't. Where's your partner? He must still be at the Haskell farm. All right, Dan, get some rope and we'll tie him up. Then we'll ride to the Haskell farm and get Moose Miller.
Right.
Oh, it's you.
Pecos followed the masked man and his friend.
Yeah, I know. Anything happen?
The masked man took him prisoner, and now he's coming to get you.
I gotta get out of here.
Moose,
Yeah, kid, what do you want?
now that Pecos can't be your partner anymore, maybe you can use a new one.
You? Don't make me laugh. That's your first pair of long pants.
I'm the best shot in White River County. Ask Grandpa. And I've been riding since I was knee-high.
You sound like a natural, all right. Look me up in California in 5 or 6 years.
California? Gosh, is that where you're heading?
That's where gold is easy pickings.
You better take me along, Moose. Otherwise, you don't stand much chance getting there.
No? How come?
There's only one trail out of town, the way you rode in. The same way the masked man's coming back.
I'll find the trail later on. Right now, I'm covering ground.
That's just it, Moose. There's no ground to cover.
What do you mean?
We're hemmed in on the north and east by White River, and this time of the year, it's plenty deep and fast.
I'll head south.
That way's Granite Peak, and it's solid. Except I know a secret trail. Found it when I was a kid.
Show it to me, will you, boy?
Sure, Moose. I'll lead you back to the main trail, too.
Say, you're all right. Maybe I'll change my mind about you and take you to California after all.
Gosh, you really mean it?
Sure. Let's go.
Grandpa!
Get on up to the house, Shelby.
I haven't got time to argue with you, Haskell. The masked man and his pal are on their way back here.
That's right. They captured Pecos. Now they're coming to get him.
Well, get going. Nobody's stopping you.
Take it easy, Grandpa. I'm going with Moose. Maybe to California. That's what you've been aiming for me to do, isn't it? Cut loose from the pigs and go places?
Yeah, son. That's what I've been aiming for you to do, but all of a sudden I realized something. It's no good moving out on pigs if you're going to move in with killers. And it's no good having people look up to you if you're dangling at the end of a rope.
Cut the gab, Haskell. Come on, kid.
You're not taking my boy with you, Miller.
Why, you...
Ah! Grandpa! Grandpa! He gave you food, a place to sleep. He was your friend. You had no right hitting him.
Come on, kid. Let's go.
But Grandpa!
I said, come on. Move. All right, get going. Get on your horse. Hurry up. I'll start leading the way. If you make a false move, I'll drill you through the head. Go on.
Shelby. Shelby. Shelby! Oh! Dad, you're hurt.
I'm all right.
Where did Shelby go? Dad, answer me.
With Moose Miller.
Moose Miller.
We lied to you, Elizabeth. Them killers was here. The masked man caught one of them, and now Shelby's gone off with the other one, Miller.
Oh, Dad!
Oh, it's all my fault, filling his head full of ideas. I'm going to town and get the sheriff. It's the masked man and his friend.
Thank heaven you're here. Moose Miller just left and took my boy with him.
They're heading south to Granite Peak. If you hurry, maybe you can catch up with them.
Please go after them.
Don't worry, Mrs. Haskell. We'll bring your boy back to you safe and sound. Jim, keep your eye on this man.
Go on, kid.
We're catching up. I hear hoofbeats.
I'll go that way, Dan. You head him off the other way so we can box him in.
Don't try anything funny.
I'm not, Moose. Honest. I've never tried to find my way before at night. Somebody's coming.
Quick, over there.
right, sir?
Yes, Dan. Keep him covered.
Sir?
Thanks. On your horse, son. Everything is under control, Mrs. Haskell. The sheriff has the two killers under lock and key. The bank is sending a courier to pick up the stolen money.
You sure you haven't overlooked something, mister?
I am not so sure.
You don't have to worry about me, mister. Honest.
Now, the kind of a grandpa I'm going to be from now on. As Elizabeth said, I was always filling Shelby's head full of wild tales, trying to live my life all over again through him. I didn't stop to think that maybe I might be leading him up the wrong trail. But your coming has taught me a lesson. In fact, it's taught us both a lesson. There's two ways for a fellow to look for adventure: by tearing everything down or building everything up. And somehow I like your way best, mister. Because,
Look what it's done for us.
That's right, son. Adios, my friends.
Gosh, Mom, I wonder who he is.
Why, son, he's the Lone Ranger.